Hey, what's going on everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Dayton Triangles franchise here on Madden 25, but also featuring several other Team Builders teams in order to create a revamped UFL. Here we are in year number 5, and we started this year incredibly slow. I'm not going to hold you by any single set or margin. However, what we have been doing the last few weeks is that we've been doing nothing but winning football games, and surely we have been winning. We come in here on a 3-game winning streak, but we take on the San Antonio Brahmas, who we faced in the AFC Championship last season. We're going to get a rematch here at New Welcome Stadium. We'll try to continue that winning streak as we try to build momentum into the bye week and get to 4-4. So it should be a great matchup, taking on the Clean O'Donnells and company. I hope you guys are excited for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. And with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump right into this thing. But before we get into our matchup against the San Antonio Brahmas, we have some players that are very deserving of upgrades, mostly on the offensive side of the ball. First, we start with Cameron Spencer, who arguably is one of our best players on the team. We're going to give him that speed rusher upgrade because that is where he truly thrives. And because of that, he actually jumps up to an 86 overall with a +3 to pursuit that we love to see. Few other players that are also getting an upgrade as well is Anton Mills, who is one of our veteran offensive linemen on the interior. For Anton Mills, we are going to take care of his power, and he actually doesn't get an overall boost this time around. However, a +3 to pass blocking power, as well as an additional 2 points to run blocking, is going to help us out, especially with that interior running game. Meanwhile, DeAndre Bozier has absolutely been on a tear thus far, as he just recently got that star development, but I want him to be a little bit more physical. That is certainly a soft spot in this game right now, so we work on his physical upgrade. He actually goes down in overall, which is a little confusing to me. Does get some +2s across the board, but you know, those temporary boosts do go away, so he is a natural 75, but those temporary boosts did end up getting washed away, which I don't necessarily love, I'm not gonna lie to you. But then finally, Justice Freelove, one of our first round picks from a couple of years ago, he gets an upgrade as well, as we'll work on his agility this time around. And Justice Freelove is also going to remain as a 75 overall for the time being. Not too much happening here, but is certainly kind of like a 6th man in terms of our offensive line. So while he hasn't been the everyday starter that we thought he would be at this point, he is still a very good football player that we like to have. But now that we have all of the upgrades officially taken care of, let's go ahead and jump into the rematch of the AFC Championship between us and the San Antonio Brahmas. You know, feeling good as we're winning our last 3 games, but San Antonio comes in hot at 5-2, but we set a tone early. J.J. Peters is going to light him up like a Christmas tree out in the backfield, and that's going to allow a 2nd and long coming up. We'll see if our defense can set a tone the rest of the drive. But to Clean O'Donnells, we already know we are going to have our hands full with the former custom player, as he is one of the best quarterbacks in the UFL. Would not be surprised if we do end up seeing him on an NFL roster at the end of the year, but not with throws like that though. Just an uncharacteristic miss there, as that is going to lead to a 4th down. Now, why am I showing special teams? That means that sometimes something special happens on special teams, as Joe Spears makes a man miss originally, but he gets hit. He gets hit and puts the ball on the ground, and San Antonio is going to get the ball back. And while San Antonio could not really move the ball after they forced a turnover, that is how they're going to get their first points of the ball game, as we are down 3-0. But how about the return in response by the 5th round rookie Joe D. Gentry, as it will set up the Dayton Triangles across the 40-yard line. So we'll see if our boys can make something shake on the actual first possession of the game, as we'll hand it off to Jonathan McGriff, who's going to run up the gut, and he will move the ball for an incredible first down, as that will be our first down of the game, as one of the San Antonio players does go down in the backfield. That could be a loss in the trenches, in a spot where, you know, we do have that matchup advantage. We certainly know how to run the football extremely effectively. And it looks like if they're going to have these injury issues in their front seven, it's going to be a long day for them. Absolutely. Second and inches coming up. Here is Whitfield's going to drop back. It's going to have, oh, it's a play action. Wants to go to run inside and finds DeAndre Bazier inside the 10. And he's going to finally be brought down at the 8-yard line. First and goal coming up for DeAndre Bazier and company. Will we finally see the first touchdown of the ball game, or are we going to see something else happen? Are we going to have to settle for a field goal? Here we go. Third and goal from the 5-yard line as Whitfield's in the shotgun, trips to the right. Whitfield fires to run inside and wants Grayson Heineck, but it's deflected away at the last second, and that does mean that we will, in fact, have to settle for a field goal. So it's going to be threes across the board here late in the first quarter of action, as now San Antonio will take back over. You know, they had a decent couple of possessions, getting a first down here or there, but haven't really been able to sustain much of anything on this drive yet, as Aquino O'Donnell drops back over the middle. He's going to dump it off to his tight end, and his tight end is going to have himself a first down, that as we'll go ahead and kick things out to a couple of plays later, as DeQueen O'Donnell again drops back to pass. And again, you know, really just falling in love with finding those really soft spots in our zone coverage, you know, continuing to, and it's not even like checkdowns necessarily. I don't know if I want to like go that far. It's just, it just happens to be where the soft spot in our defense is. And we'll now go ahead and pick things up on a 2nd and 10 from about midfield, as Aquino O'Donnell looks to the left-hand side, and Paul Hitchens, he can't get there in time, and it's a big gain. 26 yards down the sideline, and San Antonio is in a dangerous position to take the lead here late in the first quarter of action. Very next play, O'Donnell looks to the right inside, and it's going to be tackled right away by Matt Arnett. But that's also going to bring an end to the first quarter of action. A very defensive-minded first quarter. But with that being said, San Antonio is on the move, and we're in danger of being in a deficit once again. So we'll go ahead and pick things up here in the red zone. This is the first red zone opportunity for either team today. It's Aquino O'Donnell here on the play action. Looks over the middle, and it's going to be broken up at the last second. That's Paul Hitchens, making sure that that pass ends up being incomplete. As now we got 3rd and 5 coming up. O'Donnell in the shotgun, looks over to the left-hand side, and it's going to be caught. Jeff Sanders, the first-round rookie out of USC, tries to break it up, but it comes at a little bit too late, as now San Antonio with a brand new set of downs and a chance to find the end zone here. 3rd and 5, and it's going to be just short. But you know what? Them boys are feeling spicy right now. They're going for it on 4th down. 4th and 1. San Antonio looking to run down to the goal line, and it's a wide butt naked hole right up the gut. And Darius Dobbs is going to find the end zone and give San Antonio the lead, which means we'll find ourselves down 10-3, as we'll go ahead and pick things up here with our offense desperately needing a response. Let's see what the boys in blue can go ahead and do in terms of responding to that long touchdown drive by San Antonio. The catch by Grayson Heineck certainly will help, as we'll go ahead and run up the gut on 2nd and 10 a couple of plays later. And Jonathan McGriff does find a decent chunk of yards there, as yet another San Antonio player, he's going to go down on the ground. It's been a rough day for the San Antonio front seven. They've been a resilient bunch, But how many injuries can they sustain as they have 3rd and short coming up? It's going to be, no, it's a play action. Whitfield trying to throw for it, and it's going to be incomplete. Broken up at the last second by Brian Broles as we are looking for DeAndre Bazier. While it was a fantastic punt, once again, we find ourselves in deep trouble. Down 10-3 already, and San Antonio is once again on the drive. Marcus Reynolds with a big-time throw out on the sideline. It gets them out of the shadow of their own goal line, making it 3rd and long after a couple of bad plays later. Looking to clean. O'Donnell wants to scramble but runs into Cameron Spencer. As that drive will now come to an end. And that will keep your Dayton Triangles right back in the thick of things. As they got a 1st and 10 now, trying to respond with less than 3 minutes left to play in the first half. We still have time to run the ball as we do have all of the timeouts in our hands. But now we got to really jump into our 2-minute drill. Leon Thomas, a name that we haven't said too much so far in the first half. It's been all DeAndre Thomas, or Bazier, I should say, here in this first half. We'll now go ahead and see if we can get him in motion, trying to get some of our guys more involved outside of DeAndre Bazier, because Bazier, listen, he's put together a pretty good first half. He really has. However, we got to be able to get the other playmakers in our offense more involved. And maybe this will help finding Grayson Heineck to the outside, getting out of bounds as well. So that'll allow us to spare a timeout for right now. We still have 2 timeouts that we can go ahead and utilize as we try to set up the halfback screen. But they were all over it, so it ends up being incomplete. And now our boys face a 3rd and long a couple of plays later. Whitfield in the shotgun, looking around, wants to fire to the right-hand side, wants to go one-on-one with Mitch Woodson. But Mitch Woodson cannot come down with it as Brian Broles is going to make the play. And that does mean that we're going to have to settle for yet another field goal as San Antonio will look to try and take this one out in the end zone. This could be bad, and it almost was, man. Chris Gentry does end up bringing him down, the backup free safety. But with one of the best quarterbacks in the league, this is the last thing that we wanted. Wanted to give him great field position with 75 seconds left to play in the first half. So we'll see if our defense can go ahead and respond as Queen O'Donnell does get a short completion. It's going to be really interesting to see how they play this out, as they do have 2 timeouts that they can go ahead and utilize, and they will go ahead and not use a timeout there. I was expecting them to do that, but they are not in any kind of urgency. But maybe they should have considered a different path, because Paul Hitchens is able to scream in from the linebacking area, and it's going to lay the lumber, forcing 3rd and 15. And also getting rid of one of those timeouts as well. O'Donnell's in the shotgun and making changes up at the line of scrimmage. Looks like it's a completely different play. O'Donnell's facing pressure up the middle, but is forced to his left and runs into Von Reed as well as J.J. Peters. As that's going to bring an end to the first half of action. A low-scoring first half. We're only going to be down by 4 points thus far. Now, with that being said, here is your halftime report as all the other UFL games have been completed. Some things of note here: the Philadelphia Stars beat the Chicago Enforcers by 13. Those are your defending UFL champions. But there's a couple of other games to keep an eye on, like the Vegas Vipers. They actually get a game-winning field goal late against the Eugene Chiefs. And so Van Doom puts up a respectable performance, but it's simply not going to be enough there. And then also the Louisville Thoroughbreds trying to stay alive in the playoff hunt. They get a close win over the Arizona Hotshots as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the second half of action. As we do get the ball to start the second half, we did end up deferring, and this is what we need to see. Jonathan McGriff, we got to get him the ball a little bit more, because when he touches the ball, he has been extremely successful. As now, 1st and 10 from the 42-yard line. He'll throw over the right-hand side. He finds the second-year man out of Oklahoma State in Mitch Woodson. He's going to pick up a gain of 7, but an injury timeout. And ironically enough, it's Mitch Woodson who made the catch, but shook up on the play, though. Hopefully it's not too terribly serious. You know, he's a very good number 3 wide receiver in our offense. And so while we were waiting to see if Mitch Woodson can come back, that does mean that we will have a different wide receiver in there. Looks like it's going to be Cam Johnson, the former undrafted rookie out of Mississippi Valley State, as Mitch Woodson fumbles the ball there. But thankfully, Isaiah Connor, one of the offensive linemen, able to pick up the fumble. But alas, it's going to be 3rd and 12 coming up. Whitfield dropping back, looks over to the left-hand side. Wanted DeAndre Bozier on the curl, but loses the box out, and Whitfield's going to throw an interception. San Antonio's going to drive it across midfield as Alonzo Hamilton. Listen, he just wanted that ball a little bit more than what our wide receiver did. And so that is a huge loss there, because we had a very good drive going there. Unfortunately, it's not going to lead to anything substantial. And now it's our defense and our team in general that's going to find itself on the back foot right now. 1st and 10 after the turnover. O'Donnell's going to just check it down to his tight end, who's going to rumble and stumble downfield, as Kennedy is going to set up another red zone opportunity for the San Antonio Brahmas. So, 1st and 10 after the completion, as they go with the little slant pattern, as Dwight Cunningham and a couple of other Dayton defenders was there ready to make a play, but looks like Jamon Bromley, the free agent acquisition that we brought in recently over the course of this past offseason, he's going to be shaken up, so that's going to really hurt our interior pass rush. Hopefully that doesn't hurt us too terribly much, as Jordan Baptiste tried his best to keep up with the receiver, but those pivot routes are absolutely dangerous, and I mean, a backup linebacker, he's only going to do so much. Meanwhile, we do find out what's happening with Jamon Bromley, as we do see he broke his ribs, so he's not going to return for the rest of this game. It might be out for a few more games after that, and not to mention also giving up a touchdown too. It's not looking good for Dayton Triangles. I'm going to be honest with you on that. So this drive in particular is going to become so important for the rest of this game. Could be a real tone setter for the rest of his second half. Got to be able to come out and respond with points. Doesn't necessarily have to be a touchdown. We gotta come away with something. That's all that I'm asking. 1st and 10. We're gonna run with Jonathan McGriff, who breaks away from a couple of tackles, and it's only a 9-yard game, but it was a well-earned 9 yards. Really had to earn every inch of that, as San Antonio really starting to lock in a little bit on our rushing attack. So that does mean that Jonathan McGriff is having some more difficulties in terms of finding running lanes. But we will go and get Jonathan McGriff out into the open on this 1st and 10. And he gets to operate in a lot more admirable space. So that should put us in field goal range and put us in a position to come away at least with a field goal. But you already know what I want at this juncture of the ball game. I want to come out and I want to get points. 2nd and inches coming up as we run a little bit of a halfback dive alert, as Leon Thomas was out by himself, and we knew that they weren't going to get to him in time, so let's just pick up the easy yards there. Get another 1st down. Gonna have to wait and see if we can do it again with Jonathan McGriff, but that is not going to happen. So it was a methodical drive, don't get me wrong, but at the same token, unfortunately, we do end up having to settle for yet another field goal. So we're going to be down by 8 here late in the 3rd quarter of action. And again, the pressure is going to be on our defense as we get through the end of the 3rd quarter. It's been a very exciting 3rd quarter of action, as San Antonio does carry an 8-point lead, but we're not out of this yet, but we got some fighting to do if we want to come out on top. So with that being said, boys, let's go ahead and jump into the 4th quarter of action, as it looks like DeQueen O'Donnell's is keeping it on the read option. Listen, we haven't really seen it much in this particular game, but not only does he have an extremely good arm and a very accurate arm, but also in addition to that, he's a mobile quarterback as well. So he is the quintessential dual threat guy, and he is going to give us every chance to give us hell, man. That is just the kind of player that he is, and that's why he's on NFL radars for the end of the regular season. So just something to definitely keep an eye on there. Is 3rd and 7, looking over the middle of the field, but nobody is there. I thought I would have somebody to cover that particular zone, but that was simply not the case at all. And San Antonio is going to get a brand new set of downs instead, going with some deep curls over the right-hand side. And Jim Rowe is going to be able to bring that in. Is now 1st and 10 from the 26, looking over to the left-hand side. And that might have been a little bit more of a miscommunication, but at this point in the ball game, you just simply got to take what you can get, as they will again throw over the middle. No surprises here at all, as we do have just an excellent quarterback in Jaquan O'Donnell's back there. So I imagine they're gonna throw the ball a ton, but surprisingly gonna throw that particular pass away, and it creates an interesting decision here on 4th and 3, whether to go for it or they're just gonna settle for 3 points. And sure enough, they're actually going to go for the 4th down. This is a very interesting decision here, but one that is going to work out tremendously though, as they will end up picking up the 1st down anyways. So even if they still have to settle for a field goal, depending on what happens on the next few plays, at the same time though, what we can say is that they can at least take a little bit more time off the clock, because unless we can somehow force a turnover, we're going to be down by 2 possessions, and at this late in the game, it's going to be really difficult to come back as we give up another touchdown through the air, as that is going to be, looks like Demarius Hammond able to win one-on-one against the safety Denario Allen. And that means we're going to be down by 15 points. Not a tough one, not an easy route to come back from, but it starts right here, right now. We can't wait anymore. We got to find some touchdowns. We got to find touchdowns quickly. 1st and 10 from about midfield. Whitfield dropping back, wants to throw over the middle. Wanted Grayson Heineck, but he was extremely well covered there. And it's now going to be 2nd and 10. Whitfield again throwing over the middle of the field and finds DeAndre Bazier. As DeAndre Bazier will pick up the 1st down. However, it does take some time off the clock, and that clock is certainly ticking. Whitfield looking to scramble, wants to get upfield. He's got some legs, and not sliding this time around. He thought he found a crease and was going to take it to the crib, but got touched at the last second, it seemed like, but still able to get across the 30-yard line. And even though we are down by 2 possessions, I do want to point out that the run game is still very viable. We could still have it on the table. It's just that maybe if we get the ball one more time, could be a completely different story. Whitfield again looking to throw over the middle, but that's going to be incomplete because that was he was hit as he threw the ball. That's what I was trying to say, a little bit of a brain fart there. Instead, it's going to be 2nd and 10. Whitfield going to set up play actions, rolling to his right, wants to fire, looking for Leon Thomas, and he's got him! Touchdown, Dayton! And the Dayton Triangles are going to pull within 1 possession. Down by 8 with 3:13 left to play. And now this right here, and maybe the next drive depending on what happens, most important drives of the game. Points for San Antonio means that this is going to be wrapped up. And so with that being said, Reynolds, he's going to get over 100 yards, and they're already across midfield. One more 1st down, and San Antonio probably in field goal range at that point. But with that being said, they cannot get yet another 1st down. We do have to use the last of our timeouts. However, we got a shot at this, but we have to be precise. 90-yard drive is what we're going to need in order to have a chance to force overtime. And it's starting off pretty well. Leon Thomas able to find open space, and that's a 25-yard grab right off the jump. That is a way to start. And because we are in a no-huddle offense, we're going to go ahead and keep it rolling. Making some adjustments at the line of scrimmage because I want to have a different play called. Whitfield drops back, wants to find Leon Thomas again. He's got him. He's got another first down for Leon Thomas. And we're going no-huddle once again. Less than 1:30 left to play. Wants to try Leon Thomas one more time. But this time it's much better covered. But we're still in a much better position, though, inside the San Antonio 40. And they have one-on-one coverage on DeAndre Bazier, which we are going to take full advantage of. Touchdown, Dayton! And it all comes down to the 2-point conversion. So 2 yards separate us from a tie ball game. We're going with the bread and butter in this situation, running the run for it, and Jonathan McGriff has it! The 2-point attempt is good, and we got a tie ball game. 24-all is going to be your score. But you see that clock, there is 1:06 remaining in this ball game, and it makes you wonder, is there too much time, and can San Antonio win this in regulation? O'Donnell's in the shotgun. He's going to drop back for his very first pass of the game. It's a little bit of a pivot route, and he only picks up 7. However, they still have 2 timeouts that they can, in fact, utilize, which they may or may not use here in the near future, as they are now approaching midfield already, trying to get some kind of pass rush out, but they are just continuing to dink and dunk as the Queen O'Donnell has now gotten to over 300 yards on the day. O'Donnell looks again over to the left-hand side, and it's going to be incomplete. Denario Allen gets the deflection, and now it's 3rd and 4, a huge 3rd down. Can they pick it up here through the air? And they do, and it puts them right on the fringes of field goal range. So we'll see how they play out these next couple of plays. After that, I would imagine that they would go ahead and settle for the field goal, trying to win it in regulation. Let's see what they pull off here with 13 seconds remaining. 2nd and 10, looking over to the left-hand side. It's intercepted. Dwight Cunningham is going to send this thing to overtime. Let's go, man. Dwight Cunningham. Let's go, baby. And after 4 quarters of action, don't look now, but we are going to have overtime to decide this game once and for all, man. Let's go. So 24-all is going to be your score, and after San Antonio goes 3 and out, the Dayton Triangles have a chance to win this thing in overtime, because the next score at this point is going to end up winning the game. 3rd and inches coming up as we have a chance to move the sticks, as we'll run it with Jonathan McGriff, who gets a nice Wayne up the middle, and one more first down at the bare minimum is going to send us out here to what we got going on in terms of field goal range. And with this run by Jonathan McGriff, he nearly gets there. He's just a yard shy, and oh my goodness, is Jonathan McGriff having a massive day. We'll see if they continue to go to him as he got play action. Nearly gets sacked. What a huge job by Marvin Whitfield, just making sure he got rid of the ball, because that would have taken us out of field goal range if we didn't get rid of that ball in a timely manner. Instead, it's 3rd and short, and of course, we will also pick up the first down here as well. And you see that clock is ticking. Less than 3 minutes left to play. This likely will be the last play of the 2-minute warning, as that is a dot to DeAndre Bazier. That is a big-time throw for DeAndre Bazier, and now we are firmly in field goal range, and we completely control our fate right now. 3rd and short coming up. We're going to run out some clock, as we'll see if Whitfield can go ahead, make some adjustments at the line. Looks up, fires some to Bazier, but it's nearly intercepted. That would have made almost guaranteed a tie, but instead Felipe Nichols is going to set up for about a 27-yard field goal. This is to win it in overtime. The kick is up in the air, and it's good! Right through the uprights, and the Dayton Triangles down by 15 in the fourth quarter of action, is going to storm all the way back. They get 18 unanswered from that point on, and Dayton is going to stun the San Antonio Brahmas 27-24. What a game! Man, oh man, was this game a complete back and forth affair, as we ended up seeing, I wasn't sure we are going to be able to pull this off. We got to that 24-9 hole, but 15 unanswered in the fourth quarter, as well as the game-winning field goal in overtime does end up being your difference. We did not hold on to the ball very much at all. We had less than 10 minutes of time of possession, but we made the most of those opportunities, and we were able to turn around and get an extremely big win at home. With that being said, let's go ahead and check out our custom guys that played in this game. Mr. Clean O'Donnell's, he actually did have a good performance. He had over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, although we did force an interception. But with that being said, even though Clean O'Donnell's did not win this game, he certainly outplayed our quarterback. He did outplay Marvin Whitfield in this one, the 6-year man out of Old Dominion, but Marvin Whitfield made the big plays when it mattered, throwing for 245, 2 touchdowns, did have that interception, but was also very inefficient as well. But again, made those really big plays when it mattered, so all is forgiven. On the ground, Jonathan McGriff led the way with over 130 yards on the day, although he did not find the end zone in this one. Here, Marvin Whitfield actually did outrush the ball carrier into Clean O'Donnell, who had just 1 carry, but made most of it, got 10 yards there. Darius Dobbs was bottled up for the most part, so that's why they didn't really run the ball today, but he did manage to find the end zone at the very least. Joe Spears did put the ball on the ground, though. With that being said, though, I gotta say it was a big day for our duo in DeAndre Bazier and Leon Thomas, who combined for 10 catches and over 170 yards. This is where both our touchdowns came in, but Grayson Heidig did touch the ball a few times, and then Jonathan McGriff also touched the ball a handful of times as well. And then defensively, I thought we played an admirable game on the defensive side of the ball, especially considering we were getting after that quarterback. We had 3 guys get double-digit tackles in this ball game. Denario Allen, Matt Arnett, and Jeff Sharp, the first-round rookie out of USC, had 10 tackles apiece, whereas our bridgeman, Paul Hitchens, he wasn't too far behind with 9 and did end up getting a sack. Speaking of sacks, though, man, did we go crazy in that backfield. Cameron Spencer, in particular, had a huge day. He had 3 sacks in this matchup, while Von Red was able to get 1.5. Dwight Cunningham was also able to get a sack, and then JJ Peters was also able to help out on one of those sacks as well. He did manage to get a half sack, and for the first time in 3 games, we did actually force a turnover. Dwight Cunningham was able to pick off to Clean O'Donnell's, and it came in a massive time in the game. San Antonio was driving. I think if he did not get that interception, we might have lost this game in regulation, because they were borderline on field goal range. But right after a big-time overtime victory, we were able to get an upgrade for one of our offensive linemen, Alton Jenkins. He is our, I guess I would say, bridge left tackle for the time being, but he's been doing a really good job. He's had a solid season. Certainly not a liquid or a gas, but I want him to be a little bit more agile. His agility is certainly a weakness, and after working with him, he stays at a 77 overall for now, but he's also a natural 77 overall now with that +2 to run block finesse, among other things. So, it's nice work here as he's doing a solid job of holding it down while we are still trying to develop justice for you, love. But this game for DeAndre Bazier has also been a nice boost for him, because he's showing flashes of being a superstar in this league. Unfortunately, with this big-time win, we did end up with a devastating injury, as Jamon Bromley did end up breaking his ribs. Now, the good news is that we do have a bye week, so he is only going to miss a couple of games. He won't miss 3 games, but this is our best interior defensive lineman. who is the replacement for Matt Weaver, who did leave us for the NFL. And so that interior pass rush is definitely going to suffer. It's going to have to be a collective effort if we're going to get contributions from the interior part of our defensive line moving forward. Alright, so we actually move into the bye week, so I wanted to go ahead and check out some players that did get some upgrades in the bye week, but mostly at the bare minimum they're role players or they're bench guys. So Quandre Hargrave is one of them. He is the outside linebacker that we brought in through free agency. That could be that short-term answer after either like Cameron Spencer or like JJ Peters left. So we're going to improve his pass coverage abilities. He is staying as a 76 overall for now, but he gets a +4 in man coverage, which should help him get on the field for at least third down situations. Nas Evans, who I had so much hope for, he is back to being a normal development guy after having that hidden dev in his rookie season. He's still a really young player, but right now he's just having a hard time contributing in a meaningful way. We'll work on his power rushing for right now, and it's going to get up to a 74. Awareness is going to get a huge increase, which you absolutely love to see, but he is still going to be a backup at this time. And then Colby Barkley, one of our late round selections, someone that, you know, maybe could end up being our future backup quarterback. Well, he's got his work cut out for him, but we'll work on his strong arm upgrade for right now, and he does get a natural 59 overall with a +3 under pressure and a +2 to awareness as well. It carries him up to a natural 59. Alright, so with this win, we are back to being at around 500, and we are back into the thick of things from a playoff race perspective after starting the season just 0-4, right? So a very positive sign to see. However, we do have our work cut out for us if we want to win the division once again, as Evansville is 7-2 on the year, so we're about 2.5 games behind at this time. We do at least have the benefit of the Columbus Destroyers in our division. They're having a rough year at 2-7 as well, but it's going to be a very tight race for that final playoff spot. You know, we are in among several teams that are 4-4, like Houston's 4-4, we're 4-4, Birmingham's 4-4, the Pittsburgh Maulers are 4-4, and then of course there is a couple of teams that are 4-5 as well. So it's going to get pretty muddy here for this playoff race, which really just goes to show like how crucial this second half of the season is now that we did get beyond that break that we had, you know, from the bye week. Hopefully that help heals us up pretty darn good. So here's what we plan on doing here for the next episode, since we're starting to get into a spot of the year where we are going into like a bunch of like 1 o'clock games. So how I want to do things is we have a lot of road games here moving forward. One of those games include a game against Evansville, so we'll play the Evansville game, and then we'll also have highlights of the Tampa Bay matchup, the Columbus Destroyers matchup, and a home game against the Atlanta Legends. And I sort of want to make sure that at the very least we split these next 4 games because I definitely want to make sure that we finish strong. This could be a type of year where, hey, maybe 9-8 would be enough to get us into the playoffs, but I certainly don't want to test that theory. So we got a 4-game winning streak going, but I am going to end it right here though. Hope you guys enjoyed a dramatic comeback against the San Antonio Brahmas, and if you did, make sure you go ahead and do a couple of things for me. Hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on Mike signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.